More now on one of the stories we're following for you. Rupert Murdoch is saying sorry, and he's doing it in a very public way. Robert Greenwald is a filmmaker who looked at Murdoch's career in the documentary Outfoxed, Rupert Murdoch's war on journalism. He's in Los Angeles, and he joins me now by Skype. In the past 2 days, Murdoch's accepted 2 resignations from top News Corp figures and even issued an apology in UK papers. Do you think that's enough to fix his company's image?
No, I don't think it's enough. This is a deeply troubling turn of events. It's a revelation to many people about the way the corporation runs and about the way he uses the power of the newspapers to intimidate politicians. And it's important to keep that in mind. This is not just randomly done. It's systemic and it's historical.
Now, News Corp has been linked to police and politicians, both in the U.S. and U.K. From your own investigations in the U.S., how closely tied is the media giant to these public officials?
Well, what's very clear is that it's a matter of, from the beginning, what Murdoch has done quite brilliantly, but very contrary to the values and importance of democracy, he has used newspapers in a way no one has used them before, which is over and over again employ them to go after politicians, to threaten, to intimidate politicians, or to win politicians' favors. And as a result, as we're seeing now in Britain, the politicians are inviting him to their homes, they're whining and dining, and newspapers, which are supposed to monitor, watch, and let us know what's going on, have climbed into bed with the Murdoch empire. Hopefully, this will be the beginning of a change, but it's also going to, we believe, spread to the United States, where there will be investigations.
Yeah, so you've spoken to journalists who've worked for Fox News in the U.S. Based on what you know, do you think the FBI will find anything during their investigation into News Corp?
Well, I don't know the answer to that. I don't know that they're actually hacking here. But again, I would say that the hacking is something that's got everyone's attention. But what we should look at is media consolidation, the fact that one man and his family control so many media outlets and that they use them politically. It's not an accident, but that they use the newspapers to intimidate politicians so that they can make more money with their media corporations. They go after politicians, they insist on taking regulation and protection away, and we're seeing the result of it, very sadly, around the world in terms of these media outlets and what they're doing and how easy it is for them to gain control. Look, they're basically bullies. Now people are aware of it, and people are turning on them.
Yeah, so you're talking about that phone hacking. Since the beginning of the scandal, Murdoch and other top News Corp figures have maintained they weren't aware that journalists were hacking into people's voicemails. What really are the chances they had no idea?
Well, James, we don't know about Mr. Murdoch, but Murdoch's son approved a payment of over $1 million to somebody whose phone had been hacked. Now, does anyone believe that they wrote a check for $1 million and did not ask any further questions? It boggles the mind, and it's impossible to accept. At that point, they wrote the check and said, oh, yes, this only happened once. No need to investigate any further, number one. And number two, what we found in Outfoxed, and everybody knows, is they are very much a top-down corporation. In Outfoxed, we revealed they literally wrote memos telling the journalists how to cover the news. Now, with that level of control, does anyone believe that hundreds of thousands and perhaps millions of dollars in bribes were being spent around the hacking, and that there was no way that they were recorded, no record of them? How were the payments being made? Who was approving the payments? And I think those questions must be asked, will be asked, and may get closer to James Murdoch himself.
So do you think we're witnessing the end of News Corp?
I don't think we're witnessing the end of it, but I hope we will be witnessing the change. The other thing about News Corp, it's a publicly traded corporation, but it's run by like it was a family candy store. They buy and sell to the benefit of individual members of the family. They make decisions not based on the best interests of the shareholders, but based on what Murdoch feels is the right thing or what he wants to do on any given day, or how he wants to help members of his family, whether it's his sons or daughters buying their companies out of public dollars, which is again a publicly traded company. So maybe we'll begin to see some real governance there, and that would be a substantial and important change. Right now, they approve basically anything and everything he wants to do because he has appointed the board of directors, and they listen and do whatever he wants.
Robert Greenwald in Los Angeles, thank you so much for joining us today.
My pleasure.